Indiana legislators are debating whether to replace an energy savings program they voted to phase out at the end of last year. Energizing Indiana aimed to reduce the state's energy consumption by about 12% over 10 years. As Brendan Smith reports, the proposed new plan would allow utility companies to set their own energy savings goals.
Switching to the compact fluorescents, they're going to save you 75%.
With the changing of light bulbs and the lowering of thermostats, Energizing Indiana helped reduce the state's energy consumption while reducing homeowners' bills. Field inspectors would visit homes and give families advice on how to cut back on their energy use. And a report from the Indiana Utility Regulatory Commission found the program to be cost-effective, saving about $3 for every dollar spent. But legislators say the second phase of Energizing Indiana would have been significantly more expensive, so they voted to end the program. And now they're working on an alternative.
Let's remember that low-cost energy is vital to our economy, that we need an all-of-the-above energy strategy, including energy efficiency.
The first step in that all-of-the-above strategy is Senate Bill 412, sponsored by Senator Jim Merritt. The Senate Utilities Committee held its first hearing on the proposal Thursday. It's much different from Energizing Indiana. Instead of setting a statewide energy savings goal, utility companies would be able to set their own.
Because of the need for continued flexibility due to uncertainties caused by changing technologies, economics, and federal regulatory mandates, a one-size-fits-all model is no longer appropriate.
As part of the bill, utility companies would have to submit an integrated resource plan to the IURC at least once every 3 years. It would detail how the utilities plan to reduce energy consumption. An independent auditor would then assess whether the utilities met those goals.
If you don't, then when you come in for a rate case or you want to build a power plant, then the commission has some historical knowledge that you haven't been pursuing energy efficiency. There's an opportunity to take some things into account.
The program also allows the largest energy consumers to opt out of the program, which was allowed last year when Energizing Indiana was still in place. Indiana Industrial Energy Consumers attorney Jennifer Terry says that's translated to significant cost savings for large manufacturers.
We used to have the 5th lowest industrial energy prices, but today Indiana ranks 26th. And so the opt-out provision, which was enacted in 340 last year, and continued with 412, is a very helpful first step in continuing to give industrial customers some relief from the very high prices that they are experiencing.
Allison Transmission in Indianapolis reportedly saves $11,000 per month by opting out and instead implementing its own energy savings measures. And supporters say the bill wouldn't just benefit businesses. They insist utility consumers will see some savings too.
More energy efficiency might mean a bump up in consumer rates, but the reduced usage will mean an overall lower bill. That's happier customers.
But at Thursday's hearing, a number of people spoke in opposition to the proposal, arguing it doesn't have enough teeth to produce any meaningful results. The plan doesn't include specific penalties for utility companies if they don't meet their energy savings goals, and the only requirement for those goals is that they're reasonable. Critics say that's too vague.
We do believe that a more stringent oversight as it relates to the monitoring, evaluation, and verification, Indiana needs to reinstate, we believe, as our just energy policy state, a resource standard of 2% annual reduction by 2019.
Another area of concern for some, the program allows utilities to recoup some of the costs of the energy efficiency program through periodic rate hikes. Citizens Action Coalition Executive Director Kerwin Olson wants the bill amended so it would put a cap on those lost revenues, which is something other states have implemented.
To the issue of cost recovery as it relates to lost revenues, we view this bill as an anti-ratepayer bill that will bring harm to customers.
Legislators have their own questions about the bill. What incentives are there for utilities to make energy efficiency a priority, and what impact could the measure have on ratepayers? They're all questions they'll hash out as the bill moves forward. It passed the Senate Utilities Committee 7-3.
To talk more about this legislation, we're joined by the bill's author, Senator Jim Merritt. Senator, thanks for being here.
Thank you.
As we mentioned, your proposal would not implement a statewide energy efficiency mandate requiring utility companies to reduce energy use by a set amount each year. Instead, the utility companies set the standards, and then those are subject to approval from the Indiana Utility Regulatory Commission. Why leave the goals largely up to the utility companies?
Well, first of all, the previous program was voluntary in itself. It was by rule, and it was created by the IURC, and there was a third party administrator, and thus the utilities had their own programs and did have goals of 2% per year, but all the utilities are different. All 5 utilities are different, and they have different strategies. And I believe that the programs that were issued or filed last May have been gone over with a fine-tooth comb by the IURC and have been rendered useful. And for anyone that thinks that the IURC can't govern this is incorrect. And they do have bullets in the gun, if you will. They do have the ability. They do have teeth in the law to govern this program.
And I wanted to ask about the legislation requires the utility goals to be reasonably achievable. The wording is somewhat vague. Why not create more specific terms that the utilities could use when creating their goals?
Well, all the plans are different. All 5 plans are different, and reasonableness allows the IURC to analyze the programs one by one separately, and it gives them the flexibility to say no or to say yes, and also the legislature is 150 people, great people, but not experts in utility law or energy law. And we believe that those experts are at the IURC and can govern this program correctly.
We just have about 20 seconds left, but I wanted to ask you about the utility companies being able to recover some of the cost through fees and customers' bills. Would you be open to putting a cap on how much money utilities could get back?
As you probably know, the committee process in the General Assembly is a work in process and progress situation and system. We're looking at different ways that we can make the bill more acceptable, that we can make the bill more useful, and that can pass the Senate and the House and make it to the governor. And this is a very, very big issue for the governor of the state of Indiana since Senate Bill 340 went into law without a signature. And so we have a lot of work in front of us. And loss recovery, we will look at that, lost revenue recovery.
Thank you very much, Senator. Thank you very much.